Hey folks, welcome to tonight's stream. And tonight we're going to be making some traps. Now, I have made some changes since this afternoon. We had a look at the warping, which might work now, but then again it might not. Let's try it, shall we? Oh, there we go. We have some warping. Okay, number one, we have some warping. Number two, here is our prototype for the trap. Okay. So, from that, we could basically start building out our traps. Now, I've also changed the sound file to test out the wife's voice with multi-layered, distorted, echoed. Yes, I made it all. And since there's not an awful lot of people viewing at the moment, Treyer, I shall give you a grand tour. So, we start in the main menu, obviously. So this is the main menu. You hover and it gives these little things. It does these little animations. These all work, by the way. For example, credits, high scores. This is because we're offline at the moment. If we go on Steam, that's going to be different. We have options. You can do audio, key bindings, display, gameplay, blah blah, all of that stuff. So, for example, you can change the difficulty, look up, down enabled, head bob enabled. You can invert the mouse, X and Y, etc. If we go back, you know, you can set up your display, all of that stuff. Then you play the game. You go into this starting point, right? And this is where you select levels. So if a level is available, it will come up with the name of the level and your best rating. Right? So we've not got a rating on blood donor yet, but we can enter it. Right, there's a third level here, but it's locked, so it won't show. Right, you've got to complete the other levels first before these actually show. And if you go to the back door, you can actually go back to the main menu. The idea here is I'm going to put more pictures on the wall. These bookcases will open up. You'll also notice that these bookcases are randomly generated, procedurally generated, so they always look different. You can see that the clock works and it ticks. I can hear it, but I've not got the sound on because it probably annoy you guys. Okay. So, what would you like to see? Would you like to see a big level or a small level? The test level or an actual level? Okay, we'll do both. I have no idea yet. what the price is going to be. Right, so this is a test level where I test things out, right? This shows you the minimap. So there's a pickup I can set up that you get a minimap. But you see the number of pickups is 13 and how many I've actually picked up. Okay, when you've picked up all of the pickups, it basically gives you, oh yeah, you speed up as you pick up pickups, and then you've got to get to the exit, right? And the exit in this case is this little statue here, right? And if you do that, it gives you a rating, and you get a little disco dancing vampire hunter. Okay, and if you close that, it takes us back to here. Okay, so all of that's working nice. So if we go into the second level, this has got a bit more to it. And you'll see one of the first traps in here, right? So you can see that's a spike trap that hits you. Now if it hits you, you'll see what happens, right? You get hit, right? And you've got to break the wood to get through the wood. And there's monsters, okay? Now, we have to go the other way if we want to see monsters, right? But you can see you get pickups and that makes you go slightly faster. Right? Now, if you look, you'll see that star on the minimap. That is a monster, okay? Now, he's just random. That's because it is. It's a long story why it ended up like this. I have never played Dark Deception. I had it described to me. And I was doing some one-on-one tutoring in Unreal Engine, and the guy said he would like to make a game like Dark Deception. So what he did was he sent me a video, and I took a 2-minute video look at it, and basically from there I have just made my own thing, right? So there are some things like it's got a minimap, it's got levels, right? But I didn't look into it too much because I didn't want it to be an absolute clone. I wanted different things to happen within the game. Right, so if this guy comes and gets me, what's going to happen is, you probably won't hear him laugh, but he'll laugh, which is going to get turned into a scream, right? And then he'll basically jump on me, which everything's working in logical order, but it's not all timed yet. I've got some animations to get a hold of that are going to... Basically what happens is you get spun around to face like the bad guy so that you can see what's actually attacking you. It pulls the camera back, and then I'm going to play an animation where you get basically murdered. That's the idea here. Now, I believe that our monster might be stuck on the wood, which is intended. Yeah, you can see that he saw me, right? But he's not going to be able to come through that wood. So he's going to lose perception of me. And basically he won't be chasing me anymore. So that's him back to wandering So I'm going to have to wait till he goes out the way so that I can actually give him a path to come and get me. Right, so now we can get through there. Right? There's spooky music playing, by the way. Right. That's him spotted me, so he's going to come and jump on me. Wow. Okay? And then it restarts you back at the start of the level. Well, if a monster gets you, you're going to get a jump scare, right? Because you won't be expecting it. You'll suddenly get turned and then the monster will jump on you. And also spikes will come down and get you as well, right? I'm not trying to add specific jump scares, right? I want the jump scares to happen organically, right? Where you're getting chased by monsters and you know you're getting chased by monsters.
Help me.
Right? So, as I said, it kind of looks like Dark Deception because it kind of is Dark Deception because, as I said, a guy asked me to do some one-on-one tutorials with him. I've heard of Friday Night Freddy's, but I've never actually paid much attention to it. Again, I tried to take as little from those games as possible and just put my own spin on them of how I would make the game work. Now, there are things that are going to be spooky that are still to be completed, like the voices coming out the walls, which I've started, but they're going to take a bit of time because right, we're going to have to move that. Right. I'm not particularly enamored with the way that widget just kind of sits there. We're going to have to do something with that. Right. I'm happy with the way it looks. So it's on the screen for 3 seconds, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to designer. Then I'm going to create an animation. And we are going to call it minimize. Right. And our track, we're going to rename this as CP underscore main. Okay. You can only get it on my Patreon. Right, so basically we're going to start here Right, so hang on a minute. Right. So we're going to add a track, and it's going to be CP main. Oh, and we can't do it with that. Right, okay, well, there's that, I suppose. Yeah, maybe we can do it with this one. We'll call this CP underscore min. Right. We're going to delete that. We're going to delete that. We're going to say CP min. Right. And we're going to do transform. And right, can't remember how to do that. That should have set them there, but we're going to go to 2 seconds. Right. And we're going to remove these, even though they're not going to change. Right. And we're going to delete that. If it lets me. Come on. Right. So for this, we're going to add X and Y. And we actually need the scale as well. And the funny thing is, we need the scale here. And we need the scale that's no worries at all, Treya. Trying to learn a different language is not an easy thing to do. Right? So, we're going to just change it between here and the end. Okay? So, if we move it to here, we can see what our, apparently nothing changes. Do I need to? Right, the transform is nothing. If I set that here, yeah, it goes to 100. So why is that doing absolutely nothing? Yes, I'm going to put more traps in. I was working on it this afternoon. I just need to make them into individual things. Right, I'll tell you what, I'm not happy with that at all. And the other thing is here. Right. So if I move this, I'm not very good at it. I can do it if I absolutely have to, right? But I prefer to leave it to somebody that knows what they're doing. Right, so we should be able to do that. And then if we put it here, we should be able to do that. Okay. And if we put it to here, we're going to put it off screen. So we'll put it to there and do that. Right? Right. That's cool. But we want something better than that. We want a scale. So here, our scale is going to be 0, 0, right? And then we're going to lock it or create our thing, right? And we'll make sure it's there. Yep, we've got a scale. And if we go to here, our scale is going to be 1, 1. Grab that. Then if we do this, our scale is going to be 1, 1. Grab that. So now, if we play this, there we go. So we can now see how this goes. Right, we can grab this animation and we can play this animation. Right, don't need to do any fancy stuff. We're starting at time 0, we're not doing anything. You stay cool too, Treyer, thank you very much. We're here every afternoon and every night, so just hit the like and subscribe button and you'll get notifications hopefully when I'm back on, which is back tomorrow, 2 PM Central. And what we'll do here is we're going to finish this off. We're going to finish this, and then we're going to check it, and then we're going to get on with doing these traps and actually set them up properly so that they activate and deactivate. Okay, so we're going to press play. We're going to grab our pickups. And there's a pickup. Whoosh. There we go. I think that's a lot better. We could also have actually set the opacity. Can we? We'd have to set it on the individual. You can't do the opacity on a canvas panel, I don't think. Oh yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Let's see if we can add a track. Yeah, we can do render opacity. So we just add that track, right? Then basically we do that. Why did that not? Maybe it did. Render opacity. Right, and we can set it to 0 and lock it in, press play and test. Right. And you can't really see it, but it probably does help slightly. Okay. So, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to something called dust off. And in fact, we'll go into blueprints. We're going to create a folder. We're going to call it traps. Okay. And then in our traps, we're going to say new folder. And the reason I'm putting these in a folder is because if there's anything that's unique to that particular trap, any kind of asset, I'll just put it in there. Has life after 2. Sorry, Trader, I don't understand that. Try putting it another way. So we're going to say fire, and we'll call it flamer. And I'm not sure what the second trap's going to be yet. We could do right, we're going to do metal ball. Right, now the metal ball is going to have a slightly different objective. What I was thinking was, we were speaking earlier about this one, right? And it's like a ball out of a movie called Phantasm, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it to fly around, but it's only going to be able to move like a rook in chess, right? So it's only going to be able to move in a straight line. Okay. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to create a blueprint, and I'm not sure if we're going to have a base trap. So what we'll do is we'll just create an actor. Just try saying it a different way, Treya. Just try typing the same thing but put it a different way. You have 3 lives. You have 3 damage points, right? Before you lose a life, right? If the monsters get you, you automatically lose a life. You've got 3 lives, okay? But you're going to be able to pick up stun potions that you can activate, okay? If that's kind of what you're asking about, the life system, right? Now, I'm going to rename this, and I always call everything BP, and we'll call this Flame Trap. Okay. Now, our flame trap is going to have to be in a specific position, right? But theoretically, we're going to maybe have to make something in Blender, but maybe not. But for the moment, what we'll do is we're going to get a mirror, which is kinda what we need, or similar to what we're going to do. It's not in that one, it's in here. Now if I find something better than this, or if I can make something better than this, then I will. I mean, this does kind of give it away that it's a trap. Right, now this is more of a kind of obvious one. Right, but what we're going to do is we make it 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Right. And we're going to spin it there. Right, and we're going to rename it as well. It's not going to be mirror 3, it's just going to be mirror. Right, and then we're going to add a Niagara particle system, and this is going to be flames. Right, and that's going to be attached to the mirror. Okay, and then we select our rocket system. Okay, and then we spin it 90 degrees. And we do not auto-activate it. We save that. Right. And then in our event graph, we're going to delete those 2. We're going to kill that. then right, how will we do this? We will, well, we're going to run a custom event. Custom event, and it's going to be start flames. Okay. Now we're going to need a time. So, but what we're going to do is we're going to say start flames, right? And then in here we're going to say let's say delay it right, so we're going to say flames activate, then we're going to delay for, let's say, float in range, run the float in range. It's going to run between 3 and 5 seconds. Okay, then we're going to do a custom event, and we're going to say stop flames, so after that delay completes, we're going to stop the flames. Then we are basically going to grab the flames again, and we're going to deactivate. Now we're going to have to put some type of collision up here. I call it a cylinder or something, and basically activate and deactivate it. That's fine now. So we're going to delay it again, and then we're going to start the flames again. Right. And we should be able to actually, well, we should have been able to, but we can't. I was thinking there that we'd be able to simulate it, but it's not giving us that option. So, since it's not giving us that option, we're going to minimize all these to start with. Right, and then we'll bring that down and we shall go to our blueprint, traps, flamer, and we're going to drag this into our world. And if we press play now, there it goes. And that, my friends, is pretty cool. Would you not agree? And there we go. So basically, we could do this obviously we're going to do sound effects, right? Yeah, we have. Right. But so that's cool. Now what we can do is we can click this button to auto activate so that we know the sort of sizes we're dealing with here. Right? And what I can do is add a component. Now we can actually do this as a capsule or a bot. We could do this as anything really. And I'm going to have to mute my mic for a second. Okay, we're back. So we can do this really any way we want, with a box or a capsule, right? We can do it with a capsule, and we can say collision, right? And we can basically do that, and we're going to set it to 96. Right, and then we can move it here. We can make that 44. Needs to be a bit bigger. let's make it 56. That looks about right. Then we can make this 128. We can lock it to here. Right. And then we can go to collision and overlap only pawn. Okay. Okay, thanks for the cookie, Trevor. Have a good night. Right, so we've got our capsule component. We don't want it colliding with anything really in the level. Right? And we can basically muck about with it later on. But if we go to our collision, and we only do this on begin overlap, bye Treya. And what we're going to do is get our actor, and we're going to say has tags. Hope to see you again, mate. Why did it do that? Right. Actor has tag. And that's going to be player. Then we're going to branch. Save that. Now what we're going to do here is have a look at our spike trap, just to make sure that we do the same thing as we do here. Right, so we do this. In fact, we do all of this. Right, so we're going to copy that. And the funny thing is, the other actor can come from here. Right, but we'll just go with this. So if that's true, we do that. Now this is all still going to work fine. We can move that to there. And this is the on end overlap. And this basically, there's the thing. Yeah, that goes to reset. Okay. So this is the take damage, this is reset. Okay. So we should. Okay, something not right. Oh yeah. Right, we go to collision. And it's end overlap. and that goes in there. That goes in there. That goes there. Save that. Okay. Now, if I press play now, I should be able to run into this trap. There you go. Right, but there is something we need to do here. And that is we need to make the collision either active or not. Okay. So I think there's a couple of ways we can do this. We can do it by switching off generate overlap events, or I think we can just do it by hiding it in the game. Right, either of them is going to do it. Right, so all we need to do is drag this in. So we can try this and say hidden, say hidden in game. Right, and then do the same thing down the bottom here, except it's going to be hidden. And we should be able to test this. Press play. So it's still hit as if it's hidden. Okay. So we need to tell it to stop generating, so the hidden thing doesn't work on collision. Okay. So we need to do something slightly different. To say generate to true. And then duplicate that, set it to false. And try that. Right. Doesn't hit us. Does hit us. Fine. And there we have a working trap, guys. Hope you like that. We have a fiery death trap, which I can now apply to walls, and you can walk right through if there's no flames, but if there are flames, you take damage. Okay. There you go. Perfecto. I'm going to escape that, and I'm going to take a break for 2 minutes, grab a cigarette and a drink. I shall be back in 2 minutes. So if you're enjoying the stream, hit like and subscribe, and check out the description for ways to support the channel and the game through the Patreon, and also my previous game on Steam, which is available right now, and also you can join the Discord. So catch you guys in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Okay, we are back, folks, and right, I've got this crazy idea, right? It might just work. It might not. But what we're going to do is we can remove this now, right? And I can remove this. Well, I can move this for the straight. That shouldn't be a straight. We're not going to worry about that for now. Okay. But what I want for certain rooms is a phantasm-like ball. Okay? So, the first thing we're going to do here is tidy this up, right? Before we move on. But this is all tested and working, so we have our second trap ready and going. So that's that tidied up. We can save that. Now, we are going to have to do a bit of Blender here, which I am absolutely crap at. But it's basically, in fact I don't, right? For now, we don't actually need to do that. What we need to do is go to our metal ball, then create a blueprint, and it's going to be actor, and it's going to be BP underscore metal ball. Okay, now here's what I want you, this is the interesting part. What I want to happen is for the metal ball only to attack you if you move when it isn't moving. Okay? So we're going to have to give it some AI, but I'm not 100% sure yet if it's going to be AI driven or just blueprint driven, right? But we're going to make it well, first of all, we're going to add a component and we're just going to add a sphere, right? And we want some kind of a metallic. Could have it as chrome. Right? So, we're going to have to check how big it is. That's pretty darn big. We do want it to be reasonably big though, because we want the player to be able to see it. Right? Right, and I don't know why I'm changing it in the actual there. Right. Now the question now is, what kind of size is that? It's still pretty big. We might want to make it point. I don't know if 0.25 is going to be a bit small. Right, now I would say that's looking okay, right? And just for a laugh, I'm going to add a cone. Right, now I don't know why that's that size. Right, but I suppose okay, so we're going to make that 0.25 as well, I think. Doesn't really matter. I would get something done in Blender with this. It's just to give it a little more personality to start with, I suppose. Is that what I gave this one? Yep. Right, and the next thing we do is we rotate it 90 degrees. And we change that. And we have it just there. Okay. So there we have our little spiky ball. Now this is going to constantly make like a noise, like an electrical type of noise, right? So the player's going to know what's going on in that instance, right? Now, we are going to need a I think, right, we're going to make it a box collision, and I'll tell you why. Or are we going to generate I think we might have to generate this. We're going to have to generate a collision, or the AI, we're going to have to find out where the AI is in relation to the player, right? Basically what I want to happen, I'm going to press P on that, right? What I want to happen is, if the player moves, right, then the ball will start being able to target it. Okay? If the player doesn't move, if the ball isn't moving, right, the player also cannot move. Okay? But if the ball is moving, then the player can move, right, without it tracking them. Okay, now the ball will only be able to move like like a rook in chess. Okay, so it'll only be able to like move to certain positions. It'll only be able to move to certain positions in a room. Okay, now if I put the ball in the room, right, what I'm going to have to do is like put it at a position where it can basically do a scan of the room to find out its boundaries, right? Because I don't want it to be able to go to here and then move out the room by going straight down that corridor, right? I want it to basically just move within this room. Okay, so the first thing to do is basically to get its X upper limit, lower limit, and its Y upper limit, lower limit. Okay, so that's how we're going to do it. Okay, so basically we're going to add a variable, or we're actually going to add two, and we're going to say x min max, right, and that is going to be an int point. Now, is the question. Now, if I try and set this and then do make int point, it's an integer, right? So we can't do that. Okay, so we can't make it an int point. So it's basically going to have to be vector 2D, right? Okay. So if we set this, we've got x and y, make vector 2D, and that's a float. Okay, so that's fine. That's what we want, right? And we could actually say we can do it two ways. We can do let's do that. So we'll duplicate this. X is the min, Y is the max, or whatever. We'll work it out in a minute, which is which, when we actually do the right thing. So we're going to set these right? And the way we're going to set them is we're going to fire out I've got something in my eye again, this happened on the earlier stream. But what we're going to do is we're going to fire out some line traces and find out where we hit on the X. Then we're going to fire it in the other direction and we're going to find out where it hits on the X. And then we're going to do the exact same on the Y. Right? So we are going to say line trace by channel. Okay. Then we're going to get our sphere. Then we're going to get world location. And that is going to be the start point for this one. Okay. We're going to do some printouts and stuff here so that we can see what's going on. Now we are basically going to have to split this either way. Right. And we ignore self and we're going to do persistent just now. And we can do white, I suppose, and a green for a hit. Right, so basically we're going to split this and the start position is going to be that, that and that, and Y is going to be that and that, and then our X is going to be X and that's going to be plus right, and we're going to say 5,000 and we're going to fire that. Okay, we're going to delete those. We'll bring these over a bit. Then we're literally going to do the same thing again. In fact, we're pretty much going to do the same thing 4 times, except we're going to jump for the X to the Y, right? And this is basically going to be minus 5,000. Okay. Then we're going to get our out hit. And it doesn't matter a sausage what we actually hit. We just need the location. And we can break that vector And we are literally going to do the exact same thing again over here. And then we're going to set our X to the X here. Oopsie doopsie. This X is actually going to go on the minimum. And this X is going to go on the maximum. And if we go here and set it to editor editable, right, we can actually press play and we should see that it's fired its X and hit. Okay? Now, if we go into our BP metal ball, right, it's got this set to 0 and 0. Did I set Y? Yeah, I did. I'm an idiot. Okay, so that should have been this one. Right, split pin. And this one gives us a minimum. And this one gives us a maximum. Okay? And we basically want to break that. And since this is going so well, we're just going to code it up for the other two. Okay? So basically we do this again. We duplicate. Well, I didn't want to duplicate that for some reason. Never mind. Right, so we duplicate that, but this time, okay, this goes into here. And that goes into there. Or does it? No, that gets deleted. Right, let's see what we've done here. That's Y. And that should be end Y. That's start X, end X, and that's us done. That gets deleted, that gets deleted, that goes in there, that gets removed, that goes in there, that goes in there, and that Y goes in Y minimum, no, sorry, it goes in minimum. I should actually rename this. And that goes into Y min max minimum. If we set that, compile it, and go for it. Right, we have now got our 4 points, which gives us our room size. Okay. Now, in theory, we could actually now create a collision box that encompasses that room. Okay, but the main thing here is we have our minimum maximum inside that room, right? So 409 1790 minus 740 640. Okay, now we do kind of have to, we've got our impact points, so that is perfect. And you will notice that they're 10 off. They're 10 off being like 650, 750, 400 and 1800, right? So that is actually quite good. Now, what we want our ball to now be able to do is select whether it's going to move on the X or the Y, and it now knows basically where it can move to, right, within this room. Okay, so I think this is going to be kind of ingenious. Right, so we could do this through, we can do this in a couple of ways, right? We could do this through AI, or we could do it in blueprints. Okay, now I don't actually think it's going to make a heck of a lot of difference which way we do it. I don't think I don't think either way is going to actually make any difference to us. Right? The main thing here is we're getting our coordinates, which is exactly what we want. So we can basically now turn debugs off, because we know that it's doing exactly what we want, which is awesome. And this one. Okay, so we have successfully given ourselves our X min max and our Y min max. So let's get it starting to move. and down. So what it's going to do is there's 4 options, right? So it's going to move. I'm going to do custom event. Right? Move. I'm going to say orb. Okay. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to say random. Except we're not going to say random. Int in range. And we're going to say 0 and 1. And then we're going to duplicate that, and we're going to duplicate it again, and we're going to say equals and we're going to branch. Right. And we'll drag these down a bit. Then we're going to copy that. And we're going to duplicate it again. So if it's true, it's coming here. Then we're doing the random integer thing again. And basically, one of these is going to be positive and the false is going to be negative. And this is going, so that's going to be X positive, X negative. And this one's going to be Y positive, Y negative. So we're just giving it whatever random thing it does. Okay, that's the idea here. Okay. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have to get the location, the current location of the sphere, right? No matter which one we're doing here, we're going to have to get the location. And in this case, we're going to be working with the X. Right? So in this case, let's think about this. Let's think how we're going to do it. Right, we want it to return we pass in the 2 numbers, okay, the min and the max. So we're going to have to write a function here, right, to do this. New position going to say current position, and that's going to be a vector. Then we're going to say another one, which we're going to have two bools. We're going to say is x bool. Then we're going to say is positive. That's going to be a bool. And then depending on these, we're going to either pass some kind of number back, right, and we're going to pass in this is going to be called min max, and this is going to be a vector 2, vector 2D. Okay. And guys, if you're enjoying the content, hit the like and subscribe button, that would help a lot. Right, so if we go back to our event graph, we basically new position right, and right, we're going to recombine that. We're going to pass this in. We're going to say, is it X? Yes. Is it positive? Yes. Right, and then we're going to be doing X min max. Right, and then we're going to be duplicating that, and we're going to plug that in there. We're going to plug that in there, but is it X? Yes, but it's going to be negative, right? And we're going to do the exact same thing for the Y. We're going to change a few of the variables. So that's going to be, is it X? No. Is it X? No. But these are going to be the right thing. But we're going to pass in Y. Okay. Pass true to there, false to there. Okay. So that's us got that all set up. And we just need to work on this this function now. And this function is going to give us a value. And we'll call it move point. Right, and it's just going to be a float. Okay. Now, we might not actually even need to know whether it's X or Y. We do need to know if we want a positive or not positive. Right, because basically the is X and is Y is going to be controlled by the two different min-max variables anyway. So we'll see if we need it. I don't think we do. But this new point, move point, right, is going to allow us to move the ball to the new point. Right, we're just going to basically lerp to the move point. So in effect, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say temp not. That's not going to work because sometimes you'll be moving on the X and sometimes you'll be moving on the Y. So the move point isn't necessarily going to plug into the same place. Right? I mean, what we could do is build another one of these and make it a temporary new position. Right? But let's get it working first. I think that's the best idea. So, if we go back to our new position, right, I think all we need is the is positive and the min max, and that's going to basically give us a new position, right? We're going to get our current position. Do we even need? Yeah, we need the current position. And we do actually need to know whether it's X or Y, right? We do actually need to know that. So let's do branch off that. We'll do this for one and then we'll tidy it all up and see what we can do regarding this number. Right. So if it's X, right? Then we split this and we also need this. Okay. So if it's X and it's positive, we get min, max, right? then we get a number between this and this. Right? If it's positive, right? So we say random float in range between that and that, right? We can do some kind of rounding up at some point, right? And we can do a bit of tidying up on this as well. Then, if it's false, we get the current X so if it's positive, it should be max to there. And if it's the minimum, we do it from there to there. And then basically we duplicate it and put it there. Right, we are right. We may need to do a bit of it's going to be interesting to see what happens here when I do this. And this is going to go here. And this is going to go here. This is going to go here. This is going to go here. Okay. Well, I'm going to call that a night, guys. If you've enjoyed the content tonight, hit a like and subscribe. Check out the description for links to my Discord and also ways to support the channel, which would be greatly appreciated. And through my Patreon, where you can get your name in the credits, you can get early builds, or you can just throw a couple of bucks in, that'd be great. Or you can check out my previous game, which is available on Steam. Again, links in the description. Thanks guys for watching. I'll be finishing this off stream. We are going to have a bit of work to do on it, but we're making progress. So thanks for watching. Bye bye for now.